everyone. Thank you for joining our session tonight. So it's 9:06 p.m. already. I think we're ready to start. Sivesh, are you okay?
Yep.
All right. Okay. So, um, if you guys are already have, if any of you guys already joined us previously, you guys know um the rules. How I'm going to start this reading club, where I'm just going to read the house rules first, and then I will invite our speaker to discuss with us about the book that he has with him. So I'm just going to start first. All right. Hi, welcome to Mao Reading Club. Mao, short for Monsters Among Us, is a group of youth that empowers children and survivors of child sexual abuse through a myriad of programs like advocacy, education, and community involvement in hope to pave a safer way for childhoods. In line with 2020 Sustainable Development Goals of quality education and gender equality, Mao Reading Club is an avenue for all youth in and out of Malaysia to discuss and ponder upon important issues relating to us. Treat this reading club as your safe space because we practice no judgments and prejudice towards anyone out there. For the purpose of ensuring our reading session to run smoothly while safeguarding everyone's comfort, Ma would truly appreciate it if we can adhere to the house rules below. So the first one is respect. When you are not talking, please mute the microphone by turning it off so that the session will not be interrupted by weird noises. Ma wishes for everyone to please be respectful of others, especially in discussing a certain topic or subject. Please be mindful of others when they are speaking by interjecting politely. We would appreciate it if everyone can join the session by using their names or nicknames so that we can properly address each other. Second, participate and engage. We welcome everyone who wishes to speak up during the session either by asking questions or sharing their inputs. We do not tolerate discrimination and harassment on one's sexual orientation, belief, and preferences. We reserve the rights to remove you from the club. We welcome differences in ideas, opinions, and views because we understand that each and every one of us has different foundations that shape us on how we see things. We also understand if you are not comfortable to speak by using the microphone, so do type it out at the chat box. Everyone deserves to be heard. This is a fun session. No one has to use huge jargons if you do not want to. And thirdly, consent and privacy. This session will be recorded. If any of you feel discomfortable about it, you can provide us with your feedback. Our YouTube channel will be in the meeting description. Please ask first before you want to record anything from the session for whatever purpose. Some may be a camera shy, which is totally fine and understandable. Please do not quote anything from the session without getting permission from the sayer, and it is okay if you do not wish to show your face by turning the video off because it is your face, so you get to choose what you want to do with it. Last but not least, please enjoy this session to your heart's content. We hope everyone will get something from this session. So the speaker we have today is his name is Sivash Sangar. So currently he's studying in Bachelor of Dentistry, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And also the book that he has to that he wanted to discuss with us today is called 21 Lessons in 21st Century.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
okay, I got it right. All right. So, okay, without any further ado, I will pass this session to Sivash.
Hi guys and girls. My name is Sivesh. Currently stuck in India, waiting for my degree. So nothing else to do. So basically just going through books and stuff like that. And why I chose this book now is because there's a lot of topics in this book that are currently being spoken in the media. So it's a very big book. There are a lot of parts: technological, political, despair and hope, truth and resilience. So I'm not going to touch the entire thing. So I'm only going to touch about the technological part and how big data has affected us, how it's going to affect us, and maybe we can have a dialogue session about it because this book has a lot of questions that one person can't give a single answer. Everyone has to share their ideas. So just give me your answers as I ask questions or your views and your opinions on the general idea of it. So today I'll be talking about um, for five topics. Actually, I was supposed to do four: uh, work, liberty, equality, and disillusionment. But I'm also adding education after looking at the social media this past week and the issues that has risen regarding, plenty of issues risen, and maybe we can go around and see how, why has it risen now and not before. So um, let's start with education first. Okay. Um, Remember when we were growing up, our parents used to tell about, standard five examination and SRP, and SPM was in a grade, a band range instead of grades. And then we had SPM, where it was A1, A2, B3, B4, followed by um, you having SPM with A plus A's and all that. Imagine what we will be telling our kids when we relate UPSI and PMR or UPSI and PT3. So you have that, we always think parents do not understand this. I feel it's because this string, this rope of education, where you have a long rope and suddenly just someone just comes and cuts it. That breaks the bond. That is where all within in a familiar background where people are striving to just mug up information, you do not relate with each other because it's a total different system. So you can be telling, you can expect your parents to understand how it is for us, and you can expect your child to understand what you're saying regarding this issue. Okay, so in the book, the author, so he has written a lot of books. Homo sapiens, Homo Deus, and this is his third book. Homo sapiens talked about the past. Homo Deus talked about the present, and this book talks about the future in comparison of the present and the past. So this is one line I liked in the education section. He said, "Humankind is facing unprecedented revolutions. All our old stories are crumbling, and no new story has so far emerged to replace them. How can we prepare our children and ourselves for a world of such unprecedented transformation and radical uncertainties?" Right. Basically, what has been going on is, in the past, you always had that small bubble with maybe 150 friends in maximum, or your school or your class, or if you go to tuition, your tuition friends, that's it. You do not have people that follow you. You haven't met people from probably a school in Penang, a school in Kedah if you're in Selangor, or Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand. But have you realized since 2010, a lot of social issues in various countries are being spoken about? This is because of social media. Before this, we did not have social media. If um, the TikTok of the girl talking about the issue Rogol and the jokes that were made about it wouldn't have been such an issue if she had spoken about it 13, 15 years ago. When we were growing up, that is why so many people our age are speaking out. Just because we did not have that platform. We did not have people protesting on social media. That happened post COVID. So what are we to expect in 10 to 15 years? Or what about a child who was born in 2020? What are they to expect in 80 years? When, how would education be? Because the past 1.5 years showed us how education can drastically change, and how people with money are getting an education and people without money are getting left out. This sounds very similar to pre-world wars, when there was slavery still in the world. So that is where I can't wrap my mind, because you see, you have so much technological advances in the world. You have you can talk to a person all halfway around the world or in a total different hemisphere. Yet, your own country is struggling with giving every child a right to pursue an education. So that is where, okay. Another part of the book. Um, this is what I would like to relate it to what I just said. So at present, too many schools focus on cramming information. Okay, this was done in the past because information was scarce. Um, if you were in, let's say, we take three countries. We take countries under the Spanish Inquisition. We take Russia and we take China. Okay, if you were in those countries, what would you feel growing up? That would be your, your reading tool or anything. You only have libraries and what the government allows you to read, what the government stipulates in the education system in libraries and all that. So even in 1980s and 1990s, before Wikipedia, before everything came in, before the internet came in, basically, you did not get information passed to a certain level. Now where everything is on your fingertip, at your fingertips, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, knowing how to function an entire iPad on their own, and going to YouTube, watching videos and stuff like that. Um, how is education going to be like for them? You can't be cramming information which is already graspable by them. You need to, the entire system has to change, and I think this is the beginning of the change. But yet you have so many people in the old school. It's okay. Let's say you have SRP people in the government, and you already had PMR, PT3, and now the abolishment of PT3. So you have three different generations, and you expect them to understand the kids now. So that's why I said that the rope holds everything together, but the rope is getting cut by someone somewhere every single time in different issues. Okay. So let's see what else can I talk about here. Okay, so with the advancement of social media and um, oh yeah, this is another part I liked. Okay, so have you ever considered learning C++ when you were in school? In school, 7, 8-year-olds. But C++ is something needed today. Every parent wants their child to learn coding because coding is the future. Okay. Um, have you ever wondered, growing up, traveling to a foreign country, not speaking the language, we had to bring a book. Now we have Google Translate. So that is the development of it. But the education system is exactly the same. It's the same syllabus. You do not have that development. You do not, you have a growth in one area, but you do not have a growth in an area where you need growth to happen. You have a general growth, but not individual growth. And without individual growth, how do we achieve that general growth at the end of the day? Because at the end of the day, it just comes to money. It that is the only thing that hasn't changed since the beginning of time. You're in a power, you get everything done. You do not have power, you're always a fool. And I don't, that is what I would like to hear. Like, what are your thoughts about it? You know, how do you see things happening in the future? Do you think after when you start speaking out in public and having a voice and being heard and actually creating an impact and momentum, do you think things will change, or are we still going to be suppressed by uh, certain entities and certain officers and certain officials and stuff like that? So and how people are today, like compare based on the author, what he said is comparatively to teaching what was taught before and all that, there's 4 C's that should be taught in the current time, which is critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. So I think if every school or every education system in the world starts having these four topics talk about creative thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity, I think you get to find the entire mold of a person. You do not get bits and pieces. So you don't have people who, you know, oh, I'm only going to study. I can't do sports because if I do sports, I'm going to lose out in studies and I'm going to fall back in class. I'm not going to get a good education. But at the end of the day, it's not about an education in the future. Everyone is going to have a right to have an education. But how do you find a qualified individual? There's so many people today, even graduating college, but have zero communication skills, have zero social skills. But they are the smartest people. They graduated with Dean's List and all that. But are they self-sufficient to continue in a working world, in the real world? You see, for me personally, I have never been a book smart kind of person. I've been in school. I was the most notorious for that. But as I grew older, I realized that I'm no matter what I did in school, it's molded me to the person I am today because I have found a very fond interest with the human mind and how it functions. And I think that is from where I came from, how I grew up. Um, so basically, the Ganapati issue resonates very strongly in me because I had a friend, I think 4 years ago, who was in the same situation. And so that's the thing. Like, are we how is the world going to move forward? So that is all that's thought about in this book in different aspects and all that. So we have many identities here, right? So you do not have a gender specific identity like it was in the 1800s and 1900s, where you will either you will go to work, okay, when the before 1850s, before the industrial revolution, everyone had a job. The man's job was to find for food, hunt, gather, work, wife, work, job was in the kitchen and all that. So when they were growing up, a female was only taught to cook, clean, and how to be obedient, while the males were trained from the beginning to go and do hard work and stuff like that. Then you come to the Industrial Revolution, where the males who were farmers and all that went to a specific factory, developed skilled work, and that was their skill for the entire life. But today, you have big data to compete with. You have AIs to compete with. So, are we at a loss, or are we? Is it going to be a good thing or a bad thing? Is all that is in this book, and maybe we can touch about it later. So, I like this part. It's quite long, but bear with me. In 1848, millions of people were losing their jobs on village farms and were going to big cities to work in factories. But upon reaching the big city, they were unlikely to change their gender or to add a sixth sense. And if they found a job in some textile factory, they could expect to remain in that profession for the rest of their working life. But by 2048, people might have to cope with migration to cyberspace, with fluid gender identities, and with new sensory experiences generated by computer implants. So a person who have difficulty understanding each other in the past would not have had the chance to have a translator, whereas we in even in 2048 probably we have built-in transmitters in our body. Like Elon Musk is developing a, a, a chip, a microchip this long to just fit here and helps people who have dystrophy walk. So you see that growth there. And yeah, I was as shocked as you. So, um, okay, this is the funny part of it. Okay, um, right now, 2020, on a dating site, you see this statement written. Okay, a 25-year-old heterosexual woman who lives in London and works in a fashion shop. Maybe in 10 years, what you would see here is a gender non specific person undergoing age adjustment whose neocortical activities takes place mainly in the new cosmos virtual world, whose life mission is to go where no fashion designer has gone before. So you see the break there because it's changing very, very rapidly. And that is what people in older ages, I believe in older ages, do not understand. That the change from 1800s to 2000 and the change between 2000 and 2020 is way more. We have changed way more in the past 20 years than people have in the past 220 years. So that is what I believe that I would like to ask your opinions about, because this is not something that every person, every person has their own idea. Every person has their own answer. And that is the main reason I did this book review today, is to find out everyone's answer. Because when you have many answers, you get to see that, oh, this can be done. This is plausible. You know, this is something we should consider, because we are, at the end of the day, we are eventually going to handle the country. And although it's going to be a downfall before it goes up, but it's something that we have to do instead of, like, rather compared to waiting for everything to run its own course. So algorithms control everything these days. You can be watching a movie, you can be watching a series. Has it ever? Or you can be talking about a product. Next moment it appears on your phone. So have you ever considered this? This is a bit mind blowing thing. Okay, if you watch the TV, could the TV be watching you? If you're hearing words from a TV, could the TV be hearing words from you? Because there's no other way for you to be talking about headphones and the next moment you see ads on headphones. So that is one way to go about it. But you see, if, however, you want to retain some control of your personal existence and of the future life, you have to run. You have to run faster than the algorithm, faster than Amazon, faster than the government, and get to know yourself before they do. So basically, we need to learn and program ourselves to be faster than an AI. So to run fast in life, do not take much luggage with you. Leave all your illusions behind. They are very heavy. Because what drives humans, basic humans, is illusions, imaginations, dreams. So, but imagine if it was all realistic. If everything you thought of can happen, every thought or every idea of yours is worth something, do you think you will find a shift there? There automatically will become a shift. So how do you see things changing in the future? And do you think more, what do you think we need to change to make a better second half, or the next 3/4 of the century more livable by every single person in the world? That kind of thought. Okay, I think it took too long on education. Let's move on to disillusionment, about imagination. So, like I said, leave your imagination behind, but let's talk about our imagination now. Um, let's talk about, I'll take the time frame of 1900s. Um, World War One, World War Two, the coronavirus, World War Three. I divided it into three formats. So let's, in the book he told me three stories. Okay, the fascist story, the communist story, and the liberal story. Let's see which one resonates with us the best, or does nothing resonate at all. because the fascist story explained history as the struggle among different nations and envisioned a world dominated by one human group that violently subdue all others. That's the fascists. Is it happening now? So, so when you then you have the communist story. Communist story explains history as a struggle among different classes and envisioned a world in which all groups are united by a centralized social system that ensures equality even at the price of freedom. So people have related freedom with communism for a very long time. And and okay, this is where I'm stuck. Finding the right proper words and right proper term without and being very politically correct because it's a very sensitive topic. Freedom and communism, they are very much alike. Okay? But at the same time, communism can turn into dictatorship like this. Because as soon as one person feels like I'm not going to share, he automatically becomes a dictator. So that is where I feel why so many communistic beliefs are not communism at all. You do not actually have communism. It's people believe a, a broad a thin line of communism where it starts, and then just someone just have the thought, I'm not going to share. I did my job. I'm getting my pay, and he gets to be, and he's a dictator. Okay, that is what you see in a lot of normal day people in society. You can be walking down the street, you see a beggar, you walk past the beggar, you give him your money because if you give him the same amount of money that you earned in a day and you share it 50-50 with him, that's communism. That's freedom. That's social start on communism. But that will never happen because of something that in our system is something called ego, ego, and super ego. So that is where you want to draw a line because every single person wants to live their life to the fullest. Every single person has to draw a line and say, this is what I want with my life. I'm not going to settle for anything less. And if I have anything less, I'm going to find a way to topple over someone else or climb over someone's back to go into a place where I'm happy with. And then you have the liberal story, which explain history as a struggle between liberty and tyranny, and envision a world in which all humans cooperate freely and peacefully with minimum central control, even at the price of some inequality. So it's like a dream that will never come true because you want every single person, you want 7 billion people to cooperate, to like each other, when people can't even get, you know, don't even get along with their neighbors. So as people are saying we are becoming a more liberal state, that is where people start deriving terms and breaking up these three categories in multiple other categories. Then you have the left liberals, center liberals, right liberals, left conservative, center conservative, right conservative, pro extremists, and you have so many other categories. But it's all broken from these three. It depends where you stand on this ladder. So it's like at the end of the day, the more as time progresses, there's various more breaking from this. And these terms came in 1900s. It's like what 100 years ago, and you've already broken those three terms into subterms, and those subterms might be broken into further subterms, or have been broken. So at the end of the day, you're not going to get one single term. You're not going to get everyone in the world to. You're not going to get the liberalism basically, because someone somewhere is not going to want to be friends with someone. I mean, I think every one of us have enemies. Do you want to speak to your enemy? Do you want to make things right with your enemy? Um, if you do, then good, you're a liberal. If not, you're not a liberal. So yeah, that is where a lot of people. I have plenty of arguments with so many people regarding this. Um, let's see about in the same topic of liberalism. Um, countries that join this unstoppable march of progress will be rewarded with peace and prosperity sooner. Is it true? Um, I think it will happen because of big data and AI. This is something that will happen. That we will be rewarded with peace and prosperity sooner because of um, not not having to face the consequences, because we have so many people supporting us right now. Even how the Black Lives Matter movement grew so fast, so strong in a such short period of time is because of big data. It's because of AI. It's because of social media, where you were seeing ads, you were seeing people posting about it, and it became a global thing. In the time of a pandemic where everyone was stuck at home and had nothing to do other than look at their phones. Do you think if everyone had a job, or everyone was still, busy 9 to 5 schedule and all that, would this have progressed? Because if you say yes, this should have happened 10, 20 years ago.
True.
Or maybe even 5 years ago when there was social media. Why are issues being brought about now? Just because of the pandemic. People started to see social issues more, because we were not a generation to go to war. We never understood the anger, the resentment, the hatred towards a certain political entity or a government entity or a country or people per se. When the entire country can go and bash on one person just because she did something wrong, that is where you have the growth of disillusionment, and dreams can be achieved. You know, you have, just because people realize the importance of sharing things out, of speaking their mind, of giving ideas and stuff like that. It may take time, but eventually even North Korea, Iraq, El Salvador will look like Denmark or Greenland. Have y'all ever, okay, side question. Have y'all ever watched World Toughest Prison? It's a series on Netflix. And there's this high security prison in Greenland. It's in season 4, and one of the episodes there. You guys have to go, at least Google a high security prison in Greenland right now and just look at it, because uh, it's one of the best prisons where it's high security. It's in Greenland. It's a country, an island. People call it a country, people call it island. Inmates were walking out of the prison. Inmates were driving to work in the day and driving back at night, going back into the prison and locking themselves out. So that is something that y'all should watch, because I still can't accept the fact, no matter how many times I tell people to watch, how many people watched it, no one has been able to comprehend what's going on in that prison. So, um, let's see about what else can I talk about? Okay, let's talk about this. In 1939, humans were offered three global stories. As I said, fascist, communist, liberal. In 1969, there were just two. In 1999, a single story seemed to prevail, which was liberalism. But in 2019, we are down to zero. We have no stories to hold on to. We have no light. we have no global motto per se, because a global motto is where a political belief that you believe would happen and you expect to achieve. But right now, every individual has their own liking, and that would be for a very long time. So, what is the future of imagination, the future of reality? Because as we see, people who thought slavery wouldn't end got away, got liberation, believed in liberalism, and came out of it. But today we see that we do not have a term for it. But as I can see, no matter how many people who are speaking on the topic, we have people speaking against the topic always. So, would that ever change? That is my main question. And coming to this part where it says, from killing mosquito to killing thoughts, we have paid a lot of tax. GST, we have SST, we have so many tax, income tax, land tax, and all that. Will information tax ever be imposed? Because if you think about it, the Netflix you're paying for, uh, Spotify you're paying for, or news articles you're paying for to read in certain journals and certain outlets and all that are actually information tax. You think of it in a certain way, but you can anyone can just increase an information tax just if you want certain informations, private informations, and all that. As I said, we have developed a lot, right, in the past 20 years compared to 200 years. Have you realized this? There's twin revolutions, infotech and biotech. Medical side, it's increasing, information side is increasing. But have you realized we knew how to build a dam and stop a river from flowing, but we did not know how to stop the body from aging. We knew how to design an irrigation system, but we have no idea how to design a brain. If mosquitoes buzzed in our ears and disturb our sleep, we knew how to kill it. But if a thought buzzed in our mind and kept us awake at night, most of us did not know how to kill that thought. So you see, there's information. At the same time, there's some biological things. But information and biology has never intertwined. No matter how many people have tried to study a human brain, you can never find a tie-up. But you can cure. People are curing cancer, but people can never cure overthinking,
Sure.
because as vast as the whole medical field is, the human mind is something that's unexplored, and that's where I find my joy. Okay, so technology or people? Would you sit down talking to a robot that understands you, understands your feeling, understands when you're depressed, understands when you're angry? Or would you want another person who you can't relate to talk to? So, how are your friends going to be in the future? Are they going to be AIs, or are they going to still be humans? Do people still want to talk to each other? Let's see about this. Um, So this section, he talks about a liberal phoenix. It has 5 different sections, okay? So 1900s to 1920s, 1930s to 1940s, 1950 to 1970. And then you have uh, pre-1900s and after 1980s. Basically, it's the same topic about fascism, communism, liberalism. But they have talked about three countries. The moment where people lost faith in liberalism was during Brexit. People lost faith during communism when Russia was Russia. I mean, Russia was USSR, and when USSR fell, that was when communism ended, and when Brexit happened, that was the end of liberalism. And you had fascism in China, where they had their politics, and you had fascism in Italy. You had German fascism, Mussolini, Hitler, and all those guys. And you even had fascism in South Africa. But it's all something that people have fought for. And have you all realized something in this entire how people used to get liberated was through protest. And right now, during the pandemic, protests are more than ever.
Yeah.
These are the protests that were there in the 1970s and 1980s when people were fighting for equal rights, women's right to vote, um, LGBTQ, and stuff like that. People are protesting on the streets. But right now, people are protesting on the streets as well as social media, where your message is not only heard by the people you're protesting with, but the entire people you are connected with on the World Wide Web. So right now, you okay? Um, you know how there's information censoring and private information and certain news outlet can only show certain news and all that. But right now, the social media has everything. You do not agree with one thing, someone suppresses news here, open Twitter, open Instagram, someone will be posting something. Or go to a different, just scroll down the web and you'll see someone who agrees with your ideas. So I believe that's the way forward. You know, everyone has a voice. Everyone's voice is heard. You know, that is something that we have to prepare for mentally, emotionally, because it's gonna be this past week was a whole uh, roller coaster ride in my head because the amount of things that's coming out. Like, okay, sorry guys. Can you give me 2 minutes? I'll be right back. Just make one phone call which is urgent.
Okay, sure.
Hi guys, sorry. Okay. So let's continue. There's always a double standard between people and the government. But as long as the double standard exists, the government can't be changed. So I feel like what's going on right now, where people talking about issues, even after um, so many big, that the older people, let's say, since um, kena jaga, masih muda, tak matang lagi, and when we have a voice and the older people are actually getting scared of us, I think that's a movement itself.
Hmm. True.
Because you see, in the 1800s, you don't have to worry about people misinterpreting you and saying that, oh, he said this, he said that. But now you have your own voice. You can say, I have said this, I have created a movement. And once the older people move on, because you see, in the 1800s, it wouldn't have happened because people only lived till 40. People only live till 40. Now people are living till, people can be living till 100 and 110 on a daily basis, like right now, the life expectancy has gone up drastically. So that's the next topic about it. Where do you draw a line of retirement? Because are you going to increase the retirement age? Because when you increase the retirement age, realize that you're causing less and less youths to have a job. And you're replacing most jobs with AIs and big data. So, what is the future for our children? So, that is, that's where we have to see where we draw the line and how everything is going, and whether it's gonna continue the same way it's continuing, or we can, whether we have a voice, what we have to do for the next 80 or so years to survive in this planet, because people are losing jobs. Minimum wage is still minimum wage. You do not have a continuous, yes, small businesses, everyone supporting each other kind of thing. That is kind of where it's led to right now, because no matter how harsh it is, we need to, uh, expect the worst as well as hope for the best. Um, at the end of the day, it's you finding a footing and being prepared for the next generation to come. Because as of now, you have people retiring later. Many people our age are not being able to find proper jobs. Um, there's a lot of people below the poverty line. There's still sexual harassment, although our country has gotten independence, or the world has been liberated. We are called the fast moving country, developing countries. Sexual harassment is still there, murder is still there. But, you know, what is the future for our children? It's filled with questions. Everyone has their own answers, their own opinions. And this book, it's one of the books that only filled with questions. There's rarely any, there's no answers, because no one can predict the 21st century. But if you realize, if you're talking this 100 years back, you can predict it. Like, I mean, sorry, not 100, 200 years back, you could predict it, because you had the telephone, you had um, for what? You had a telephone, for like 100 years before a cell phone came in. And then once the cell phone came in, you it went like from 1997, it went like boom, 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 where you have camera phones, uh, smartphones. You can watch movies on your phone. You can listen to songs on your phone. You can talk to people halfway around the world on your phone. You know, so you get the growth, like 1800s, 2000, 2020. So what is it to expect? There's it's filled with questions. How would you see a community to live like when people do not even talk to their neighbors in a whole condo building? You don't even know your downstairs neighbor if you stay in a condo. If you do, I'm impressed. But yeah, so when you live like that, what is community to be like? The fear of going out has increased. The fear among genders has increased. The fear of going for a girl to go out alone, dressed in any way, has increased. You know, but one good thing about it, it's being spoken about by the public in masses, where you don't compare it in 50s or 100 people reading it or relating to you. You have thousands, 10,000, millions of people relating to you just because you have the support. So, is everything going to be virtual? Because you do not know your downstairs neighbor, but you can relate to people across the world. So, that is something that y'all could take a night to ponder upon, think about the entire big picture, how the mind works, how every imagination can become a dream, how things should be planned for the future generation. And I only covered like I think about 100 pages of the book. The book is like 400 pages, so it's a very vast topic, and I would love to do more and more sessions on this. Um, so yeah, that's it for today, I guess. I think everyone is just like holding their heads right now, trying to process every single thing. But yeah, that he this author Yuval Noah Harari, he does that. So there's another book that I've read, and it's quite nice. Do Dice Play God?
Ooh.
It's everything about probability. So it's basically sparked my interest in learning, since human mind is not touched. That is my main interest, and that is my go-to, and I'm actually pursuing an extra degree in that. So yeah, let's see how that goes. Okay, thank you everyone for listening. I had fun. I hope you all did too. Sorry if I bored you all with topics, um, but yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for staying. Means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sivaj. I think um okay, I read about the book, like the review of the book, or like not really review, probably maybe like a summary of the book. And when I read it, I was like, what is this book trying to tell me? Trying to tell the readers. Because I think I read between the lines, in between the lines, the blogger said something like, this book doesn't have answers. It has questions.
Question.
And I was like, what do you mean by that? But then I was like, okay, it's okay, it's fine. Maybe later, in this session we will talk about it and I will understand it. And I actually do. Instead of giving answers or trying to help us getting answers, it actually just makes us question
Prepared with
more.
a question. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this is like, I have to admit, it's a little bit heavy,
Yeah.
the topic and then the book itself. However, it's a good thing because everything that you mentioned just now, everything sounds very simple. It sounds like, it seems like our daily basis punya, stuff going on around us, but it never really hits
Trust it.
to
Yeah,
us.
we
Yes,
never
we
really
never really
trust it.
feel like, oh, why is it like this, or will it be like this? How is the future gonna
We
be,
never thought it was important. Basically, for me, it was like we never thought it was important until someone tells you about it.
True, exactly. So I think this is a very great session and also book to make us all just sit back and just think about everything going on in our life, right? And yes, thank
Yeah.
you to Sivesh also for bringing about this book, because otherwise we wouldn't even know about this book. All we knew is just books that has answers, not just books that make us
It's
question
still a
more.
question.
Yeah. So thank you so much, and thank you to everyone that joined us today. Thank you to Sivesh also, and like you
Yeah.
said, you would love to join and talk about this more later after this. Of course, we would love to have you again to talk about this again, but we'll see how, because we have our schedule and everything. So yep, and
Yeah. So
it's
people who are like, I didn't touch about a lot of sensitive topics in the book. So there's an entire chapter on terrorism, war, humility, God, and secularism.
Oh, wow.
And that is something that you have to read it on your own, and you have to process it on your own, because those questions are like some of the things they ask. You do not feel like if you give an answer, it'll be politically correct. It
True.
will be accepted by everyone.
Mm.
So yeah,
But yeah, okay, so like I said just now, thank you so much to everyone who stays as well, and thank you to Sivesh, of course. And it's already 10 p.m., so it's 2 minutes past our schedule, but that's fine. Thank you so much again, and don't forget our reading club session is every Friday 9 p.m., so do join. And yep, I think that's all for tonight. Thank you so much, everyone.
thank you, thank you.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you
Thank you,
for this
Sivesh.
Thank you.
session.
You may leave the meeting now.
See you again.